Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. And welcome to week 3 edition of the 2025 Rookie Stock Report. My podcast co host and I are going to do this each and every week. We are watching the All 22 film. We are digging into it. Yes, we are in the early stages of the 2025 draft cycle. And that's what we love to do on this channel. So, we're through week 3 of college football. Guys are emerging, guys are disappointing, and we're going to break it all down for you. We're going to give you 4 players who were stock up and 4 players that are stock down. And this is going to be a weekly show, so help me grow the channel. Hit that subscribe button. I've got all sorts of great draft content all ready for the 2025 draft class on this channel. I encourage you to take a look around. All right, let's get to the show. All right, Jason, let's get to our NFL 2025 rookie stock report. And I'm going to kick us off again in this segment. And I want to talk about Jaylen Milo. We talked earlier in the pod about his, his game and against Wisconsin. And dude, he looks so good. I'm going to put out a film on my YouTube channel breaking down this film. And I got him right now. I told you I updated my ranks and my rookie ranks, and he's my QB1 right now. And after what I saw this week compared to the field, right, of where we are, we talked about Carson Beck kind of having an off game, and I'm not being reactionary for 1 week. You guys know we did my Devy mock draft, if you remember, our first rookie mock draft, and I took Jaylen Milo, pretty earlier than I think people thought I would. I've always liked this skill set because the NFL loves this guy's skill set, right? If Anthony Richardson, all right, this is how simple I'm going to make it, can be drafted I think he was number 4. With, he's tall, he's big, he's strong, big arm, athletic, had the ability to create off script. They love the rushing ability, always a dual threat. That's what we love in fantasy, right? Jaylen Milo, you watch this game, and I'll send it over to you, Jason. Of I cut up his highlights, and I'm going to put a video out on the YouTube channel. But I'll tell you what, this guy is the true dual threat quarterback of the class, without a doubt. He made 2 or 3 throws that were just on point, 40, 50 yards down the field in the corner of the end zones. He has the ability to run with the ball and was bowling people over. He was going through his progressions. He wasn't locked on the first thing. Now, if there's one knock on his profile from what I've seen through week 3, and I've watched every one of his games because I've been really intrigued by his skill set, is there's probably short and intermediate passes, but the deep ball is just tremendous. And he's got pocket navigation. I don't know what there isn't to like compared to the rest of this class. He is a riser for me. He's locked in as my QB1 right now. This game against Wisconsin was the final, he was my number 3 going into the season, but I've moved him up over Carson Beck right now. He's just that dual threaded. The NFL wants these athletic guys. That's what they want. They want people who, they just want to take the super athletic guys. And he looked really, really good.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I think before the off season earlier this year, you had him really high in your ranks too, and I thought you were kind of crazy based on what we saw. But you nailed it. I mean, this kid is developing tremendously, like a CJ Stroud type of development, where it's just from nothing to stardom, and he looks amazing. And that throw to Jeremy Bernard for a touchdown looked awesome. I mean, the ball placement was incredible. So
yeah, and one other point too is I wanted to make was, we got Kalen DeBoer there now, right? So I mean, there's been a coaching change, right? And he made Michael Penix a first-round draft pick. So that was kind of in my theory, in my thinking, that he's got a new coach and a guy that has developed quarterbacks. Not that Saban hasn't, but he's got a different look now, and his leadership skills are off the charts. That's even a second icing on the cake. He is a leader in that locker room.
It's all manifesting for him. That's for sure. And I'm gonna go with another quarterback who's been developing and really catching the eye of everybody in Devy who might have fallen off, and that's going to be Miami transfer quarterback Cim Ward. Talk about a kid who's making all the throws, big time throws. He had a really nice throw to the outside to not Colby Young, Jacoby George, and talk about another receiver that has some explosiveness. But man, he's just putting the ball on point. Ball placement's perfect. Going through going through his progressions. And I just like what I see. He sets his feet. When he's got to take off, he takes off. He's not, I think he's a dual threat, but he only runs if he absolutely has to, or he sees an opening. He's not that guy who gets the ball and just takes off. Like, he will set, make sure he goes through his progressions, and he will use his legs as necessary. So Cim Ward, I mean, dude, he has 11 touchdowns, 1 interception so far this year. He just keeps balling out. I know it was Ball State last week, but I see a lot of good NFL talent come from him, and I think we're going to continue seeing it as the season progresses.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to realize when you watch quarterbacks, right? Like the talent might not be there, but it doesn't that doesn't affect the ball placement, right? If the receiver gets
Right,
open
right.
because
Great
he
point.
just he dusts the DB because the competition isn't the same, yeah, just because you can't knock the quarterback just because he's wide open. If he places the ball where it's supposed to be, Cim Ward had a fantastic game. I mean, he's another
Mhm.
guy who's rising up the ranks. I mean, again, he's got that athleticism that I think the NFL is going to covet. Second guy I want to talk about, did a film on him. Go check it out on the YouTube channel as well. Xavier Restrepo, a gritty slot receiver. From Miami. That's who Cim Ward loves throwing the ball to. Had 2 touchdowns again this past weekend. But on the season, he has he has 14 receptions, 262 yards, 4 TDs already. So what's his projection to the NFL, right? He's on the smaller side, but he's thick. He's really, really well built. He's going to be a slot receiver in the NFL.
Mhm.
I think he's got some above average space creation ability through winning through his routes. And he's just one of those tacticians that can just dissect a zone coverage and is really a quarterback's best friend. He's going to be the leading receiver in Miami. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody if you kind of like know who you're watching, or if you knew who the wide receivers were in the room this year. Had a breakout year last year with over 1,000 yards, and he's well on his way again, I think, on being the primary receiver in Miami. And I don't know, right now, I think he could be an early, like a round 4 type guy. So if he continues to just keep production going on, he's probably going to go to the Senior Bowl and be one of those standouts at the Senior Bowl this winter.
I could absolutely see that. I mean, this is a kid that just continually produces and just doesn't get recognized for it. And I think it's time that he gets recognized. So that's a good call. I'm going to go over to the tight end position because tight ends need love too. And I'm going to
Mhm.
go with Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers tight end and Gunnar Helm out of Texas, who just continues to be productive each and every week so far, showing off his athleticism, showing off the hurdle ability as needed. Great hands. I like how he's exploiting zone coverage. He doesn't waste any movement when he's in his route. Like it's very crisp and clean as far as his movement ability and his agility. So I think there's definitely something here with Gunnar Helm. So continue monitoring him as the season goes on, but I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far. And I think this tight end class with Oscar Delp and Ben Urasek and these guys who we expected to come on that aren't is opening the door up for other prospects, and that could be a guy like Gunnar Helm. So Gunnar Helm is definitely a stock up.
Yeah, I was just looking at my ranks here on the dashboard and stuff, and this is tight end class is kind of wide open as far as I'm concerned after Loveland and Mason
Yeah.
Taylor. I think those two guys are at the top for me, and Gunnar Helm's been killing it. So I love this call. I
Yeah.
think he's like an introduction to the
Yeah,
draft
kind of, yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Because I never heard of him before this year. So
He's been at Texas the whole time too. Just
yeah, well, he's had to wait
finally
behind
got his
Jatavian
opportunity to
Sanders.
produce.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's got to, wait his turn. So there's our
Right.
4 stock up players for week 3. So we got to talk about some stock down players. I'm going to talk about Oli Gordon, running back, Oklahoma State on the season. As let's see here, averaging 3.2 yards an attempt, 3 touchdowns. So you and I, Jason, during the summer did our all 22 film reviews of Oli Gordon and felt that he was a little overrated to begin with. I mean, we saw a big player who build up running, get that speed, but we didn't see a guy with like tremendous lateral ability, some quick feet, good quick feet meter, but it didn't seem to display that on the field. So you and I really weren't that high on him to beginning. And he's been RB1 for a lot of guys out there, because of his size but I don't know. I still feel like you got to be able to create on your own. I watched his Florida A&M game. Or I'm sorry, his game. I forget which game it was, week 2. And again, this week he just couldn't get anything started. Now we talked about offensive line before, right? I mean, his offensive line aren't doing him a lot of favors, but sometimes even when that occurs, you have to be able to try and put some wow moments. The last 2 weeks have been just not very many wow moments at all for Oli Gordon. So again, where is he in the pecking order? We have a long way to go before April in the 2025 draft, and he can really rebound and put some games. But his last 2 games, I think what you and I kind of saw in the summer is starting maybe to emerge, is maybe like last year was a great season, but he's not going to be that all, world back that he was last year.
I think a lot of college fantasy guys were, banking on that, especially with where he was being drafted. And I think that's the thing. I think we see more of a college fantasy back than we do an actual NFL running back. And my next guy who's a stock down is kind of the same way. That's Jaden ONeal out of Cal. And you and I did a film breakdown of him and didn't come away that impressed either.
Right.
He looked a bit sluggish within the athleticism. We didn't see a lot of explosiveness or burst. I do think he's a very good pass catcher, so the receiving ability is definitely there for him. But he's been banged up, hasn't been able to have a chance to play, and I know that because I have him rostered in my college fantasy team. And it's something that durability. Is something that we don't want to see from a guy who already doesn't have the athleticism. I think this is a kid who needed more development as a pure runner with instincts and mental processing, and that's what I want to see this season. So he needs to get on the field and prove that to me a little bit more. Hopefully we see that. But as of right now, Jaden ONeal, for where he was ranked and being drafted, he's definitely a stock down.
I was giving you the Kylan Hill turn.
Oh,
we were doing the film review. Remember that point of contact? That's my signal.
Turning the shoulder.
Turning the shoulder. So, so my stock down player, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking, is Carson Beck for his performance. Now, you talked earlier about what you saw and liked. I'm not sure I saw the same thing with him. I thought he left a lot of plays on the table, and this is the kind of game where if you're going to be an NFL quarterback, I know guys are going to have their down weeks, right? But this is the kind of game where he needs to elevate his team, right? He needs to say, guys, I'm going to win this game for us. Maybe we're all off. We're not really having the best week and the best game, and it's going to happen. But I just didn't see him in the second half. He should have just come out there and just risen to the occasion and won that game by a touchdown or 2 against Kentucky. So I have him as a stock down. Still the draft, first round talent, but just for this week after seeing the Kentucky game, I just put him down as a little stock down.
It makes total sense. Like what I saw were just flashes of what I understand everybody gets hyped around because, he can throw in the tight windows. He's got good accuracy in certain situations. But yeah, he showed flashes. And based on what Louis Riddick always says, flashes can get you fired also. So he's going to have to improve as the year goes on as well if he's going to be considered one of the top quarterbacks. And then another quarterback who's a stock down, and I briefly talked about him earlier in the breakdown, but that's Arizona quarterback Noah Fafita, and I'm bringing him up because there was hype around him. Last year he had a great season, but if you actually watch the film, a lot has to do with T-Mac. He just throws it up on a hope and a prayer, knowing that T-Mac's going to come down with it, and you can't play ball like that at the next level. And I saw that with Caleb Williams. Like, you have to be able to mentally process, read the field, understand defensive coverages, and know where you're throwing the ball and make good decisions. And that is not the type of quarterback that Fafita is. And I love the story of him and T-Mac, and I think he's outstanding in college. I just don't see an NFL quarterback, and I think others are starting to catch on to that as well. So he's a stock down.
Yeah, for sure. He's just too damn small.
Yeah, and he's small. Yeah, right. So he's got that going against him.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, there is our 2025 Week 3 rookie stock report.